Hey there guys, it's Tina and I'm back. And I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. If you're also back, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. Why am I clapping? I don't know. But if you're new, and I don't know why this is the first video you're seeing of mine, but you know, hey, I'll take it. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. We have tons of fun here on this channel, talking about makeup and all things beauty, but this specific video is going to be a life update. So that's why I'm thinking this may not be your first time on this channel. You are probably already a part of the Fancy Fam. So I'm happy to see your face. I have been MIA for a few weeks now, even though like I just made my return to YouTube just a couple of months ago, because before that, I was pregnant. I know. So I am back. I have given birth. And I asked you guys if you wanted to hear like update about like my life and how it's been and how it's going and like my birth story and all that. So let's just talk about it. So I got pregnant last year, 2024, in June. Like at the end of June is when I found out I was pregnant. And the interesting thing is that I moved into my house. I bought a house, moved into my house in May. So a month later, I was pregnant. And it was a planned pregnancy. It wasn't something that was like, oh my God, what the heck? You know, it wasn't a surprise. It didn't take me by surprise. It was something that I anticipated. I was actually trying to get pregnant. Didn't know when it was going to happen, but like, you know, I was not preventing it, I guess you would say. So it was in the cards. So I got pregnant pretty quickly after buying the house, which kind of threw a wrench in the whole adjustment situation, because with the house, of course, you want to decorate, get things situated, get things all together in your house, do the remodeling, whatever you're going to do, right? With a new house. And of course, unpack and set up everything. So to get pregnant, like just over a month after doing that, after moving in, was a little bit hectic because first trimester, and this is something that I can get a little bit more in depth with if you want to see that. Like I said, I might put this on the second channel or do like members only videos. I don't know how I want to do it yet, but like I said, I can talk more about like the symptoms that I experienced, all the side effects, and go through like trimester by trimester and really give y'all the lowdown of what it was like being pregnant. I said I would do that, so if you're still interested, let me know. But like, no one is really talking about this. Like, why? And they say that you completely forget what it was like being pregnant when you finally give birth and you have this newborn and like this glorious life that you now have to take care of. You forget what it was like being pregnant. I ain't forget nothing. I didn't forget. So I can tell you my experience. Everyone's experience is different, so yours might not be the same as mine, but I can give you some like, you know, some info so you can, if you're planning to get pregnant, you can kind of foresee what's in store for you, because it was not this beautiful glowing experience for me. So let me know if you want to see that. But let's talk about, you know, the whole experience holistically. Pregnancy, it was not a cakewalk. The first trimester was the worst. I was tired. I was sleeping all the time. I was sick as well. I wasn't necessarily throwing up all the time, but I was consistently nauseous, like throughout the whole pregnancy. The second trimester, I kind of got a break for a few weeks. Not a lot of weeks, not like the whole second trimester, but like for a couple of weeks, got a little bit of a break. Things were kind of, you know, zen for a little bit. I was still heavy and feeling all the growing pains, but like I could chill for a little bit. The last trimester, girl, no, it wasn't cute. It wasn't cute at all. But like I said, let me know if you want me to break it down by trimester and just tell you all about the symptoms and everything that I experienced. But let's talk about me giving birth. So I mentioned in one of my last videos, the last video before I actually took a break, that I was scheduled for an induction. So my original due date was March 6th, right? I was like, all right, cool. I would be officially 40 weeks, March 6th. Nice. But because I am a woman of a certain age, I know. And that's another reason I want to talk about the experience, because I find that having conversations with different people, talking to them about pregnancy and being pregnant, like my nail tech, a couple of people like I've encountered along the way, they make comments about like, oh my God, you've given me hope. And you can take it the wrong way when somebody says that, because you're like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, but I know they don't mean it negatively, but they're like, oh, you give me hope that I can have kids later in life, because a lot of women are now choosing to have kids later, but we have this whole idea attached to having kids later in life. For women, it's almost like there's this ticking clock. I know the clock, right? But there's like this countdown to having kids. It's like, it's so hard to have kids after 35. Like, it's more difficult. You're not going to be able to get pregnant. Your eggs are old. Like, this whole thing, right? They talk so negatively about having kids later in life. And with the advances in technology and medicine right now, it's possible for women of a certain age and older to have kids easily, have healthy pregnancies, right? So I understand, like, I know, like, society is weird that way, but like saying it to me like, oh, you give me hope, it's kind of cringe, not gonna lie, but at the same time, I understand what people are saying. They're choosing to have kids later, or they haven't had kids, they haven't met the one, they're not where they expected their life to be, so they're not trying to bring a life into the world that they have to take care of and be responsible for. I mean, in this economy, girl, we're buying houses later. Like, I just bought a house, right? I mean, I could have bought a house earlier, but I wasn't sure where I wanted. The whole thing is, I wasn't sure where I wanted to live, so I didn't want to lay down roots. The point is, right? We're doing things later in life. Things that our parents accomplished or did in their 20s, now we're doing in our 30s, right? We're getting the careers underway. We're finishing school maybe later. We're going back for second and third degrees. Like, we're doing things at a slower pace now. And so having children, that also is happening later in life. A lot of women are having children now in their 30s. They're enjoying their 20s, having kids in their 30s, and even into their 40s. And with dating the way it is, oh, don't even get me started. I won't even get into that. But the point is, you're not necessarily meeting your soulmate in college anymore, in high school. You're meeting people and falling in love and like living life a little bit later. Okay? So maybe you haven't met your person. You haven't settled into your career. You haven't settled into your life. You don't feel like you're ready. So you choose to have kids later, or you don't even have the option because, like I said, you haven't found the person. So I don't think you should feel limited or feel like, you know, the clock is ticking and you have to have kids now when you're not settled. And I think a lot of people just rush it and may choose to have kids with someone that they're not even that into, but they're like, oh my God, like my biological clock, I have to just have kids even though it's not the ideal situation. And seeing someone have kids later or have a child later gives you hope. I get it. I get the vibe, but it doesn't come off that like, what do you mean? Like, you know, but okay, I'm happy to give you hope, okay? So I did do all fertility testing and everything like beforehand. I got divorced in 2019, I think. So after that, I was weighing my options like any other woman. Like, it's later in life, I'm older. Like, if I want to have kids, what's going to happen? So I went through the whole process with my OBGYN. There was a specialist that I went to get all the, you know, the scripts to do the testing, to check my ovaries, to see my egg reserve, like what are we looking at, you know, to check the health of my uterus. Like, I did all this testing just to make sure, like, if I wanted to have kids, like, things were copacetic. I checked for blockages. It's things that you can get done. Again, if you want to just know where you stand fertility wise, right? I wanted to know what the hell, right? So I did all that. I did all that up front. So I knew everything was working, you know, the way it should. There were no, like, because I wanted to tackle if there was any, like, anything that was going to prevent me or make it more difficult to have a child. I wanted to tackle that, you know, earlier rather than later. or sooner rather than later is the saying, right? So if I had any issues, I wanted to make sure like I knew where I stood and, you know, I could tackle it. So I did all those tests and everything. Everything was good. Everything was good. So perfect. I didn't have to worry about that, which is great, thank God. So again, this was a planned pregnancy. I wasn't preventing it. It was like trying to get pregnant, and I got pregnant, which is great. But I got pregnant at 41, right? So now it's a geriatric pregnancy. I know I'm doing a lot of quotes, but it's like these little phrases that they use. But technically, it was a geriatric pregnancy. It's an outdated term. No one uses that anymore. In fact, my doctor was like, we don't say that anymore. It's just that with this pregnancy, we have an advanced maternal age, which I don't know that that's much better. Advanced maternal age. That sounds terrible. AMA, right? So with my age, right, I had to be monitored a lot more because they wanted to make sure everything was good with the pregnancy. Because of course, the older you are, and this is where your biological clock is ticking, the older you are, the more complications you can have, the more issues you can encounter, from gestational diabetes to issues with the fetus, issues with your placenta, the uterus, like the growth, the progression of the pregnancy. You're more prone to miscarriages, birth defects, like the whole thing. So I had to go to my regular OBGYN, which anybody else would do. That would be the recommendation. You follow the pregnancy, the progress with your regular OBGYN. But I also went to a perinatal specialist. So this is a specialist that deals with, again, pregnancies that can be a little bit more complicated, that can encounter, you know, problems, issues, right? If you also do IVF, you would see such a specialist. So this is a specialist that I was seeing in addition to seeing my OBGYN. And I saw them more consistently than like a normal pregnancy, but like a regular uncomplicated pregnancy, you would probably do a couple of ultrasounds. And I was reading like the forums. Apparently ultrasounds are few and far between for an average pregnancy. But with me, I got to see my baby a lot, right? That was great. So that was a good thing. So I did a bunch of ultrasounds. We were always following the growth progress. It was great. It was great to me. The specialist was better than my OBGYN. My OBGYN, I don't like that it's a group. Like it's a group. So you see different doctors. There's a little bit of a disconnect. It feels like you're on like an assembly line. It doesn't feel very intimate, like you don't know your doctor. And because I just moved here too, I don't know my doctor. This is a new doctor. I haven't been seeing them for years. So it was like, it wasn't so great, you know, it wasn't the best. And I tried to make sure that I went to a Black female doctor. That's what I wanted. I was like, I am doing a Black doctor, because we hear the horror stories with Black women. Black women have the highest mortality rate when it comes to healthcare here in the US, okay? So we're more likely to die. Yes, we're more likely to have subpar care. We're more likely to be refused certain medications, pain meds, all that stuff, because we're Black, right? I'm not even gonna get into the history of it all. But because of that history and because of that knowledge, I wanted a Black female doctor. So I got a Black female doctor. She was pregnant when I went in for my first visit. And I'm like, oh Lord. So she's going to go on maternity leave. But the way it works is they have a group of doctors. So you see each of them throughout your pregnancy. And one of them, whoever is on call that day that you give birth, is the one that will be there. Like I said, there's no like, it doesn't feel warm and fuzzy. It didn't feel like a joint experience. It was just like an assembly line. Get in, get out. Do your testing, blah, 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 blah. But at the perinatal office, the doctors, the nurses, my technicians, my ultrasound technicians were the same people each time. So that felt a little bit warmer. That felt a little bit more welcoming, and I saw them a lot. And they did the ultrasounds. My OB didn't do the ultrasounds anymore. the perinatal, the ultrasound, and each visit I got ultrasound. So I got to see baby from start to finish. So that was a great experience on that side. The OB, not so much. So pregnancy, like I said, I went through the whole trimester, blah, 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 blah. Didn't have any complications, thankfully. There was a little bit of like some questionable things. So I did like a lot of testing. There was a risk of gestational diabetes because I failed my 1 hour glucose test. So the glucose test is something that you have to do, I forget how many weeks, into the pregnancy, but you have to drink this sugary substance. It tastes, it doesn't taste great, but it's not that bad. Like people made it out to be this terrible thing. It's like flat soda. It tasted more like Gatorade because they're different flavors. So you drink it, then in an hour they check your blood sugars and see if it's within the normal range or it's elevated. So I failed that test. Mine was elevated. And so I had to do the 3 hour test. The 3 hour test is where they give you the drink again, right? And then you're checked every hour for 3 hours. And that passed. So gestational diabetes, no. Preeclampsia was another thing that they were looking out for. Again, with advanced maternal age, they check your blood pressure to make sure like preeclampsia is a very serious situation that can happen when you're pregnant. Your blood pressure is high. Of course, you already know like all the risks that would be associated. Well, you probably don't, but like a lot of risks are associated with high blood pressure. Risk of miscarriage. They're checking your placenta. They're checking the amniotic fluid. They're checking all the things, right? There was another scare where I had the potential for placenta previa, which is where the placenta attaches itself over the cervix. So where the cervix is, which is where the baby's gonna come out, the placenta is over the cervix, which means, hey, you're blocked. The baby's not coming out that way. You have to have a C-section automatically. Like, the placenta is blocking the opening. So, and placenta previa can be complete, like fully covered. It can be partial as well. So it can be a situation where part of the placenta is over the cervix opening. So I had the potential there. My placenta was kind of on the edge of my cervix. So they had to watch that. They can't fully diagnose that until 20 weeks or 25. I forget how many weeks, but it's like in the 20-week range. So I had spotting, which if you have spotting, they want to tell you to go to the doctor. So I went to the hospital. They checked that. That was when they did the ultrasound and saw where the placenta was. And so that was resolved. Thankfully, it resolved itself. So it moved out of the way. And so, again, another scare that, good thing that wasn't an issue. Then they do blood testing too. So one of the tests they did was the NIPT. Again, this was all new to me. I didn't even know about this. I did research. I followed what to expect. So I'm on the app. You have a forum. They give you a lot of information. You can track the size, the expected size of the baby, all that stuff. It gives you great information. And then you join the forums around when your due date is. So if you're a March 25 due date, then you join a forum with moms that are expecting that time. So it's like camaraderie, like a community to like ask questions, get feedback, vent, So I joined that app. I was on the forums and whatever. And you learn a lot. You learn a lot about, what others are experiencing. So this NIPT test is, again, just a test to check for abnormalities, especially, again, advanced maternal age. So they check to see if there were any potentials for birth defects. And it's not a diagnostic test. It just gives you a number that tells you, hey, you're good, or you need to go for more testing. Pretty much that's like, it's just a quick check. And then if it shows like an abnormal level, then they're like, okay, go do the more intense testing. So I did that testing, and there was a potential for spinal bifida, which means the spine, there might be some spinal issues, some spinal deformities. Again, you have to kind of wait. So you have to do like this intense ultrasound just to check everything and get it's a whole thing, right? And so that was another test that I had to go through. And the choice was to do the ultrasound. So check the ultrasound. If there's any kind of open or lingering doubt, then you can do the more invasive test where they take a tap of the baby's, was it the sac or the umbilical cord? They go into the sac to test further to really see if there are issues. So thankfully, the ultrasound was enough for the doctor to be like, we're good, we're fine. There's a little opening, but we expect it to close up, you're fine. So all the testing, baby passed with flying colors. I was passing with flying colors, but it gave me a lot of peace of mind, right? To go through, again, with a regular pregnancy, you probably wouldn't get all this testing done. You probably wouldn't do all these ultrasounds, but I was given peace of mind every month. And baby grew really well. Baby was progressing really well. So now we can come down to the final few weeks, right? Like I said, my doctor scheduled me for an induction. They were like, you don't need to, because of the advanced maternal age, you don't need to go the full 40 weeks. We prefer to take the baby at 39 weeks, you know? So, all right, I'm scheduled, but I was scheduled for induction March 4th. So 2 days before my actual due date. So, you know, but they didn't want me to go over the due date. So, all right, March 4th, which was a Tuesday, I was like, all right. So my last day at work, I put in for, you know, the 28th of February was going to be my last day. It's a Friday. Weekend to prep and get everything together, pack my hospital bag, all the stuff. My bag was packed and ready anyway, but like it gave me time. Plus, I had work going on in my house. Don't even get me started. I had a leak, and the way the pipes are run in this house, oh my God, in this area, period, it's underground or under your floors. So that leak was under my floors. And oh God, in the walls, the whole 9 yards. So I ended up removing drywall, mold mitigation, because of course mold and all that is growing in the walls because of the moisture, and because it took us so long to realize the leak, because it's underground, it's under the floor, so you're not going to know until it's way too late. So I saw bubbling in my walls, like you could see where the moisture was, and then my floors were squishy. Like, what's that sound? Why does it sound wet? Like it sounded like water was under. It sounded like water. You heard the squishing. And I'm like, fuck, I have wood floors. Well, I had wood floors. And so it's like, oh my God, the wood was warping. Like it was a whole situation. So I had to rip up the floors, okay, rip down the walls. This happened in the new year. And mind you, I'm due March 6th. So I'm like, I should have enough time. But I had to go through insurance. I had to get the mold mitigation done. I had to go through so many hoops just to get things done that it was coming down to my due date and my floors were ripped up, not replaced yet. Girl, so now crunch time, baby. Crunch freaking time. So up until February 28th, my last day at work, my floors were still being worked on. Still being worked on. The freaking people that were doing my floors, they said it would take 3-4 days, okay, for everything to be done, right? Because I might as well just rip up everything and replace the floors, because half of my 2 living rooms, so I have a family room and a living room, half of the wood needed to be dug up. So it made no sense to replace the wood. Wood is not the best flooring to have. I learned this. I didn't know this. It looked good in theory, but it's not the best thing to have, especially if you have a leak, you're going to run into issues. To replace the wood, they couldn't get the exact wood to match. So like it would have been like a whole situation to do that. So instead I was like, all right, just do tile. Tile is kind of better anywhere. It's more long lasting, less hiccups, less headaches. So I was like, all right, tile. So I ripped up the living space, right? And then I had to rip up the hallways, and it made sense just to do the entire spread of the living area, the living space. So living room, office, the 2 living, you know, all of that, just rip it up and do tiles. So that was still being done into the week that I was, you know, like, oh my God, this is my last week. It needs to be done. These guys, they were there the week before. It took them 2 weeks and the work still wasn't done by the time I went into labor, okay? Well, I didn't go into labor. So let me tell you what was happening. Like I said, these guys were still here working on the house. And I'm like, y'all, it needs to be done because I'm giving birth. I'm scheduled for induction next Tuesday. So this was Wednesday they were still working, right? And they're like, oh, we got to come back tomorrow, Thursday, to do more work. And I'm like, oh my freaking God. My furniture was outside. Everything was covered in dust because, of course, it was like a whole thing, okay? I was so upset. Drywall, my house is still not done, okay? The painting isn't done. The baseboards aren't in. It's been an ordeal, okay? Needless to say. So Wednesday, they were still working, right? And I'm like, you're gonna come back tomorrow? Like, this needs to get done. This can't go beyond Friday because that's it. Like, I'm giving birth on Tuesday. This baby needs to come into a house that's set up. So I was going to use the weekend to like clean, do the full cleaning because everything was dusty, right? So I was scheduling the weekend to do the full cleaning, rearrange, set up everything, you know, to make sure that the baby was good come Tuesday, right? Girl. So I told you I was going to my OB and I was going to this perinatal specialist, right? So in the last month of your pregnancy, so I think it starts at week 35 or week 36, you go in weekly now, right? So first it's monthly, then it's twice a month, depending on your pregnancy. For me, it was monthly, and then in the last trimester, it was twice a month, and then in the last 4 weeks, it's every week, right? So I had 2 appointments a week, so OB1 and then the perinatal specialist, okay? So Tuesdays was my OB, Thursdays the perinatal. So this was going to be my last visit that Thursday. Like I said, these guys said they had to come back on Thursday. So I was like, all right, they're going to finish up on Thursday. No problem. I'll have time to finish up clean and everything because I had my cleaning lady scheduled to come in on Saturday. Okay. And I rescheduled her because they should have been done on Monday. They should have actually been done on Friday the week before. But they were like, all right, we'll finish up on Monday. So I scheduled her on Tuesday. And they were still working on the house, so I had to reschedule her. So I scheduled her for Saturday. I was like, Saturday will be great. I'll have time, blah, 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 blah. Boom. No, girl, I'm going into the perinatal. Right? Here's where the story begins. I go into the perinatal, Thursday appointment. You know, what they do at those appointments is ultrasound, right? And in the last 4 weeks, what they start doing is monitoring the heart rate. So they put this monitor on your stomach, right? And they're monitoring the fetal heart rate. They're just checking to make sure, you know, nothing unusual is happening, like everything is copacetic. So they put the monitor on, and the weeks before I had issues because they weren't getting the heart rate that they wanted to see. Like, I think this was 2 weeks before. I ended up going to the hospital. Oh, it was a whole thing too. Oh, wait, let me tell you that part. So like 2 weeks before this one, I went in and they were checking and monitoring the heart rate. They weren't hearing what they wanted to hear, which was like the consistent heart rate. And they wanted to see that the baby would like perk up too. And like, you know, there would be this, I guess, what do they call it? It's like the scan. So they wanted to see, what do you call it? I still have pregnancy brain, you know. But like a pattern. Like they wanted to see a pattern and they weren't seeing it. So that was a scare, and they sent me, they were like, listen, you need to go to the ER right now because they need to do an extended check. So my mom actually went to this appointment with me because she was coming with me to see the baby because you can bring one person in, and my partner was working that day anyway. So I went in, my mom went with me to the ultrasound. Lo and behold, they sent me to the ER. They're like, do not go home, do not pass go, do not collect $200. Go to the hospital right now. And the hospital is like next door to this perinatal place. So that's good. It's nearby, it's close, it's like 10 minutes from my house. So I'm gonna go over the hospital now. Me to come home, you know. Let me tell you this. I come home, I pack a bag, I'm gonna get up myself. I eat, my bed. Because if I'm going to the hospital, I'm gonna take a shower, girl. I took a shower, like got myself prepared, even though they told me go directly to the hospital. I went to the hospital, and it was a good thing I did all that because I ended up staying at the hospital for almost 4 hours. My mom was tired. We were hungry. It was a whole thing. But they were monitoring the heart rate and trying to get the pattern, and they still weren't seeing the pattern. And so my doctor had to come and pass me. My doctor came in and said, listen, the baby is good. The heart rate is consistent. They're not peaking the way they want to see it, but the baby's moving. Like they were checking to make sure that there's movement. The baby's alive. Everything's fine. So they could see the movement, is just that there were no spikes really, right? So that was 2 weeks before. So I was in the ER. They let me go home. They were like, fine, they're going to keep monitoring it. So again, they're monitoring this, and you have to sit and like you're laying there. It's not supposed to be a long time, but for me, I ended up like being on the monitor for a long time because they were insistent on seeing that pattern and they weren't seeing it. So they were like, drink ice water, get some sugar, play loud music. We want to see more activity from the baby, right? They weren't getting the activity. So this last appointment, right? So the end of February, the 27th, my last appointment, they were like, we don't like what we're seeing here. We don't like what the heart rate is showing us. We don't like the pattern. We don't like it. And then the doctor came in after my ultrasound. So I did the heart rate first and then they did the ultrasound. Usually it's the ultrasound, then the heart rate monitor, but they did it in reverse this time. So did the heart rate. They didn't like it, but I went in for my ultrasound. So they did the ultrasound, send the scans over to the doctor. The doctor has to review everything and then okay you to go home, right? No complications, everything. Girl, the doctor come in after the ultrasound and she go come in and she go say to me, say, how do you feel about having your baby today? And I'm looking at her like, today? No. One, I didn't want a February baby. That was one. And then two, my house is not ready, okay? My cleaning lady's coming in Saturday. This is Thursday, mind you. Cleaning lady's coming in Saturday. The people that are doing my floor still didn't finish this. Hello, I have to go home. What do you mean? I can't have a baby today. Are you crazy? My partner was headed to work. He works a later shift, so he was headed to work. This was in the morning, thankfully. So he didn't head out to work yet, right? I went by myself for this appointment because of the timing. It wasn't a big deal. I drive myself to the appointments. It's not a big deal, right? Partner's going to work. He's getting ready for work. Thank God the appointment was timed the way it was because I caught him before he actually went to work, right? They were like, you're having this baby today. You're 39 weeks. So Thursday to Thursday, every Thursday was another week. So I was officially 39 weeks. They're like, we like to take babies at 39 weeks. You're scheduled for your induction. I know that, but the way this heart rate is going, we don't like it. And the ultrasound is showing that the cord is wrapped around the baby's neck. Now, y'all have, of course, heard about the cord being wrapped around a baby's neck. That's a complication. You don't want that to happen, right? Because they can actually suffocate. I know, you don't want the cord around the baby's neck, okay? You don't want none of that action. Now, the umbilical cord is still pushing oxygen, so it's not like they need to breathe at that point, but it can damage them. It can cut off like blood supply, oxygen. It can be a hot mess, okay? So the doctor was like, yeah, the cord is wrapped around the baby's neck 3 times. I was like, what? 3 times? She's like, yeah, you're gonna need to go to the ER now. You need to be induced now. You're having the baby today, okay? Today. And I said, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. So girl, she said, go to the ER. Don't go. No, not even the ER. Just check in right now. She called over at the hospital. They were expecting me. She's like, she's coming over. Here are the details. She called my doctor, like the OB. She was like, this is happening today. It needs to get done. Because they have to collaborate, right? They have to agree. She sent the scans to my doctor. She told them her diagnosis or prognosis or whatever the host is. She told them what she thought. They agreed. And they were like, yeah, send her over to the maternity ward now. We're coming over. She's having a baby. So everybody's set up and ready for me, you know. The lady tell me, say, go over to the hospital. No. I said, lady, yeah, man, ma, go over. This is in the morning. Girl, ma, come home. My partner was here because he was getting ready for work. I called him. I'm like, we have a problem. They're telling me we need to go to the hospital now because I need to have the baby. So I'm gonna come home, right? I told him. He called into work. He's like, listen, I got to call out sick because we're having this baby now. Good thing he didn't leave because I would have had to call him and said, you need to come to the hospital now. Can you imagine? So now I'm gonna call my mother and say, mommy, the people are still here working. Can you come and like be here while they're working on the house? Because I gotta go to the hospital. They said I gotta be induced today because I'm having the baby today, right? Lord of mercy, my mother come, thank God. My mother come and she's in the house. Mind you, the house is in disarray. It's a mess. It's dusty. Nothing set up, okay? The hospital bag is mostly packed, right? Some other additional things needed to be added, like snacks and stuff. So I came home, took a really good shower, like make sure everything's set up on copacetic, right? So I came home, took a shower, packed my bag, ate, because I knew once I went to the hospital, they weren't going to give me any food, which I really didn't even have that major of an appetite, but I was like forcing myself to eat. And oh my God, I wish I'd ate more, but I forced myself to eat something quickly. My mom brought food. Like, you know, I'm prepare, right? So I'm gonna set up myself now. So pack up everything, pack up the car seat, all the things, right? All the things you need. It wasn't like a mad rush. Like I wasn't panicking at all. My water didn't break. Like nothing was happening. I felt fine. Like I felt fine as you can feel at 9 months pregnant. But I felt fine. So I just made sure, like, I prepped everything. I told my mom I gave them the key. Like, I told the workers, like, all this stuff. I had to sign papers to sign off on the job. Like, the whole thing. Like, that part was the rush part. But, so, left, went to the hospital a couple hours later. I was a couple of hours late. I know, because I had to situate myself. What you mean? So, I situated myself. Went to the hospital. They checked me in. They did the whole monitoring thing. My doctor came in and is like, all right, we're going to induce. Okay? We're going to induce. Girl, this is why I'm telling you I need to tell you all about the story. Them said I forgot induce, right? All right, no problem, because I was preparing for the induction anyway, right? So now I get to the hospital. They're inducing and they do it in stages. They give you a certain medication. I'm not going to, y'all can Google this, right? So they start with a certain type of medication to start seeing if you will start dilating. Your cervix needs to dilate, obviously. You need to start the contractions. All of this needs to happen. Naturally, your body would do all this on its own, but they're inducing it. So they're introducing the chemicals that will initiate you having contractions. So now them start me out, right? Which was like something they had to insert. Oh God, that was awful. Cause it I forgot all the way up behind you, the cervix. Lord have mercy, it painfully a fret. It was so painful. So if you want me to walk through the induction in detail, I can tell you. But you put, oh God, and then they're using their hands. So they're using fingers to get up there. And because the fingers aren't long enough, right? Forget, you know, come my cervix, they're around the side, you know. So the girl, my cervix eyed up. It eyed up. Remember, your body's changing, so things are shifting. So they must shove up, Lord God. So they must shove it up there. Like the inside part wasn't the painful part. But remember, your knuckle is ramming against my end. The opening to my vajiji, you are ram up your finger. Girl, the pain. But them do that. All right, fine. Couple hours go by. They check to see. The checks, again, the cervical checks. Hello, finger up in the air, check. Blood fire. No, girl. That part, they never nice. It was awful, right? So now they did that. And some people are more gentle than others. So you had different nurses going through their different shifts. You have the doctor coming, like a whole production, right? So that hurt. But I wasn't progressing. My cervix was not, because there's a mucus plug that's supposed to thin out. So it plugs over your cervix, right? To keep the baby up in there, block out any bacteria and anything from in it. So it seal off, right? The cervix seal off. So that's supposed to thin, right? It's supposed to thin and allow for your cervix to now expand and, open up, right? So that was not thinning, okay? There was no thinning of that mucus plug. So that was the first thing. So now them start the other round of medication. They're like, all right, we're going to up it. We're going to up it a bit. You need the other medication. So them give me the other medication now, right? Pitocin, I remember this. And that's supposed to be hardcore. Mind you, induction is more painful than a natural labor. That's what they said, okay? So you're going to experience more pain. It's a forced labor, so it's going to be more intense. Pitocin, apparently very pain, cause beer kind of pain, right? Girl, let me give me the Pitocin, right? It's in a drip, the IV, the whole thing. IVs hurt. Oh my God, the IV that I had, it was in my hand, it was awful. The nurse that did it, awful. Anyway, give me the Pitocin, right? And all right, let me go on now. So now I'm having contractions. Whoa, murder police. Initially, the contractions weren't so bad, right? They're like cramps, severe cramps. yeah, it's like cramps. I don't know like how else to say it. It's like cramps, or like, have you ever had food poisoning where your stomach really bad cramps, right? Or if you've had a really bad bladder infection or a UTI, with them pain there, are them kind of pain there, right? So the pain, me I go and bear it, because I wanted to try to do as natural of a birth as I could, you know? Come, I never want to introduce like pain medication and, you know, epidural and all that. I'm trying to go natural. Yeah, this was my plan. I never really planning on, but just to say, like, I'm gonna see what I can tolerate. If I can't tolerate it, I wasn't objecting to the epidural. It wasn't an objection. It was more like, let me see. Like, if I could do it naturally, I'm gonna try to do it naturally, girl. So the pain I go on, and it never really, you know, me I go on and work with it. The pain come and it lasts for like a minute, and then it's spaced out. So like, it would be 8 minutes apart, 10 minutes, you know, 5 minutes. They want it to be 2 or 3 minutes apart, right? So the contraction them a come, girl, and them a check the cervix, nothing a go on. The mucus plug not thinning at all, like it's nothing. Cervix not dilating, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. Mind you, I told them I had the LEEP procedure before. LEEP is where so I had abnormal cells. I had an abnormal pap smear when I was like 22. Yeah, and they went through the whole procedure, freeze the cells, try to see, but I still had abnormal cells, so they actually removed a part of my cervix, right? So there's scar tissue. Now, with scar tissue, scar tissue is going to be tight, right? So I was like, maybe that scarring is preventing my cervix from opening, because if you have something like cemented, like, to me, scar tissue, this is how I think of it, scar tissue is like a hardened, tight area, so it has to break apart, like break up for the cervix to move, right? And if it's not breaking up, then, you know, so I told them that, I'm like, maybe that's the reason my cervix isn't moving. But the mucus plug wasn't even thinning either, right? My water isn't breaking, nothing's happening. This is, remember, Thursday I'm going now, so this is a Thursday night, overnight, this is into Friday now. Friday, nothing. So then they're like, all right, we're gonna, you know, keep going with the Pitocin. We're hoping that you're gonna, you know, all this time they're monitoring the heart rate. They're monitoring your heart rate, your blood pressure, all of this. So now my blood pressure was not the best. It was higher. It was, you know, elevated blood pressure. The fetal heart rate, again, the same issue that we had before, where it wasn't showing what they wanted it to show. And what they were noticing is that when I was having contractions, because they can see when you're having the contractions, when I was having the contractions, the baby's heart rate was kind of dipping a little bit. So it dipped. It never dipped like drastically, but it dipped and then it went back up. And knowing that the cord, the ultrasound was showing the cord around the neck, they were like, we don't like where this is going. So now Thursday, I'm in a hospital, I'm induced. Friday, all day, nothing now go on, pain a kill me now. Me tell her the pain a lick me. I'm just go and bear it, you know, me I bear it in the night, you know. So this is, so now we're what, how many hours in? Over 24 hours. We're 30 hours in. All right, go on through, right? The pain start lick me about the midnight Saturday morning, midnight. So Friday night, midnight into Saturday, right? The pain start lick me, girl. I mean, I bite on, I mean, I bear it, and I mean, I bear it, but the cervix isn't moving. If my cervix was moving, if I was dilating, I could have held out. I would have held out, but it was so bad. The pain was so bad, so unbearable. I was like, all right, here what? Epidural. I can't manage this no more, because we're 30 hours in. I'm at this point 20 hours into contracting and pain. So I was like, no. Epidural me, please, because the other pain medications that they were talking about, they're like, it affects the baby more than the epidural, so I better do the epidural. And like I said, I was like hesitant about the epidural, but at that point, the way the pain was coming, and the pain had come like 3 minutes now, you know, and the pain, me say, whoa, murder police, me say the pain lick me for 6. You here? Aww. My baby's home. By the way, it's a girl. I didn't say that before, but it's a girl. So the pain licked me now, you know. the pain a lick me for 6 and me I go and hold it, you know. But because, like I said, the cervix wasn't moving, I was like, no, me can't bear this no longer. And the bad thing is, I had to, like, my partner had to go outside to get the nurse because no nurse was coming to check on me. So let me tell you about black people. The black nurses that were attending to me were so attentive. They were like asking me if everything's okay, if I need anything. And some of the white nurses too. Like I said, they're rotating shifts at this point. I've gone through like 3 or 4 nurses at this point, right? So now I had to, like, I was screaming in pain. My partner had to go out there and get a nurse because my nurse that was supposed to be attending to me just MIA, where you at? I'm not here in about 4 hours. So he went and got a black nurse. Thankfully, I was like, get a black nurse. I don't want no white, no, I don't want nobody else but a black nurse. So the black nurse come in, right? And me tell her, I said, no girl, me gonna need an epidural. So they were like, epidural? All right. Sent for the anesthesiologist. Like, we're doing this. They have to do it fast, right? So that's what was happening. And at this point, I was peeing. Let me tell you, I was peeing so much. For each contraction, I had to pee. And I couldn't get up because I had all things attached to me. So I had a bedpan. My partner was bringing the bedpan each time for me to pee. Every contraction. So this is like every 3 to 5 minutes, I was peeing. And it was a lot of pee. It was a lot of pee. And then towards like the last of it, the last time I peed, I felt, because I'm wiping, like, you know. So towards the end of it, I felt the mucus plug. It's slimy. It's nasty. I know. But I felt the mucus plug and I'm like, was that the mucus plug? I think my water just broke because now I had to differentiate between peeing and my water breaking. My water broke. It was just flowing out. Thankfully, it was in the middle of a pee too. So it was just like, all right, here we go. Water broke. All right. So now the epidural, oh God. And you have to stay really still when they're injecting you with the epidural because it's in your spine. They're tapping off in that epidural area. So now you have to stay really still, but I can't stay still and have a contraction, right? So I'm having the contraction. Oh my God. And the nurse is holding me. She was really lovely. She's like, I'm going to hold you and we're going to count because she's holding me to hold me still, but also like help me through it. So she's like, breathe. We're going to do this. Breathe, 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 breathe through it. So boom, had the contraction. I was like, all right, contraction done. Get it in. So the anesthesiologist, boom, boom, boom. She did a really great job. She was fast. She was good, right? And they have to do the whole catheter. They call it something else. It's an F word. I forget. The folio. They have to do a folio so that it's like a catheter, you know? So you can pee because now with the epidural, from your waist down, numb. Lower half, numb. Completely numb. Hey, mama. Aww. Baby was crying. She is home, so I just had to run out. Her dad has her. She's fine. Okay. So now, right? So now she do the epidural. So you're numb from the waist down. You got to get the little, you know, so you can... Fine. She's like, you won't be feeling anything. So no more peeing for you. And that was a relief because, like I said, every contraction, I was peeing. So epidural, numb. Oh my God. No more pain. Still having contractions. No more pain. I was in heaven with the epidural. If you're hesitant about the epidural, consider it, please. Consider it because, like I said, I wasn't opposed to it. I was trying not to have it and be as natural as possible. Me never opposed to it, so when I get it, Mr. Lord God, thank God, Jesus have mercy. Thank God for the epidural. So now I have the epidural, right? This is overnight, so this is like 2, 3-ish, right? And so the epidural is continuous, so they have to keep it going, right? Just in case you start going into labor. So boom, boom, boom. Come now, in at about 11 o'clock, my doctor comes in. 11 a.m. on Saturday, March 1st. 11 a.m. my doctor kind of comes in and goes, here's what's going to happen. We don't like what's going on. The baby's heart rate is not looking good. Okay, every contraction, it's dipping. Not like alarmingly low, but it's dipping. So something is happening. The baby's in distress. You've been in labor since Thursday, or we've tried to induce you since Thursday. You've been, here since Thursday. It's Saturday. It's 40 plus hours in. What are we doing? So he's like, we're gonna do a C-section. You need to have a C-section. Again, I was trying to push. I didn't want to have a C-section. Like, don't even go in with too much of a plan. But go in with a plan, but just be open to like switching up your plan in case things don't go the way you think they're going, or you want them to go, or you anticipate them going. She's a breastfed baby, so she probably wants me right now. But let me finish up. So, they're like, all right, it's a C-section. At this point, the baby's in distress. We know the cord is around the neck. We're not sure what's going on, but doesn't look that great. So boom, they rolled me into surgery. Like, it moved pretty quickly. They were like, all right, you already have the epidural, which is great. You already have the tap, so we can do anesthesia right away. Easy, boom, boom, boom. They rolled me in, girl. Rolled me in. Anesthesiologist tapped me up. They do the whole countdown thing, blah, 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 blah. I'm all numb, all good. I can't watch. They have the curtain up. They're like blocking out the whole thing. I can smell the cauterization because they're cutting me open. Whole situation. They cut me. I'm not feeling anything. I'm just smelling it. Cut me open, pop baby out, unwind baby like a damn yo-yo, because here's the thing. The cord was wrapped around my baby's neck 4 times. 4 times. Now, there were people there, nurses there, that have never seen the cord wrapped 4 times. 2 times, 1 time, yeah. This baby had the cord. I don't know what she was doing in there. Gymnastics or whatever. She was doing acrobatics because the cord was around her neck 4 times. So, unwrap fast, get her oxygen, we don't know what's going on. But her dad was with her the whole time. He went over, made sure she was good, but she was good. She came out like a champion. She was crying. She was like, whatever, girl, I don't know what's going on, but I'm out here. I'm out here right now. So thankfully, she was healthy. She came out. She was 6 pounds, 13 ounces, 21 inches, tall baby. Not too big though. She's a little skinny thing, but tall baby, 21 inches for a girl. She was tall, but I knew she was tall from before because they were like 18 inches, 19 inches. I'm like, oh, she's going to be tall. They had already told me that. They measured her femur. They're like, she's going to be tall, but she wasn't heavy. 6 pounds, 13 ounces, which is a healthy, good sized baby. Not too small, not too big. Perfect. Baby come now. Good. C-section, them stitch me up, blah, blah, blah. Send me go to recover now. Now, mind you, my legs were swollen so bad during my baby shower, which was February 1st, so a month later, right? So I started swelling up like the last 4 weeks. So, wait. Just checking because I'm going to be leaking because she's breastfed. Ooh. Yep, leaking a little bit. Hang on. So, right. So my legs were swelling up. So edema, when your legs swell up, but that's kind of expected towards the last weeks of your pregnancy. So it's swelling up, but I didn't think much of it. Again, expected. So still swollen in the hospital, but they had massagey things on my ankles to try to help the water circulate and kind of, have my body pass the fluid out. So now that's happening, right? My blood pressure is slightly elevated, not too concerning, but slightly elevated. Baby comes, okay, your C-section, I'm in pain, I have to recover. They want you to stand up and walk, the whole thing, right? They're not going to release you until you have a bowel movement or you actually pass gas, which, all right, 3 days in, they're like, all right, things looking pretty decent. Baby's good. They had to check her glucose because there were some sugar levels that were off, but they checked her. Pricked my poor baby. Pricked my baby, but she checked out great. Everything was fine. Again, she's passing her tests. Even though they were a little bit oh my God, what's going on? They still checked her and she passed. They checked me and I passed. Blood pressure slightly high, but not concerning. the legs are still swollen, but they're like, you're just gonna have to walk. You just have to get to moving, and your body will naturally, you know, get rid of the extra fluid. All right, fine. So I'm gonna come home now. Mind you, my house is in disarray. Disarray. My mom and my brother, my sister-in-law, my cleaning lady came over and helped to set up the house. I could not thank them enough, because I don't know what would have happened if I had to come home and deal with that, right? It would have been a disaster. So they came in, they set up the house as best as they could, cleaned from top to bottom, the dust, everything, because baby's coming home. I'm not there. And they, I mean, I appreciate them so, so much for everything that they did, because I am leaking. My dress is wet. Oh my God. So, all right. So I came home, right? Getting used to baby. It's a newborn. You're getting used to the sleep, the blah, 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 blah. All right. All that good stuff, right? But things are fine, you know. I'm handling it. The C-section makes it a little bit more difficult. My partner was a champion as well, because he had to take care of the baby in the hospital, because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't get up and get her. I couldn't change her. I couldn't do anything. So he did that, and he was a champion. He was on it, right? He, like, really good at that. Really good. They, you know, they gave her first bath. They did the whole thing. All right, I'm home, baby. All right, getting used to the sleepless nights. But she's sleeping because she's a newborn. She's you know, getting used to us too. So long nights, but I was navigating it. A weekend, they said to watch, like, to make sure you're good, your recovery. So if you see any excess bleeding, any big clots, if you shortness of breath, dizziness, any of those symptoms, come back, because something could be going on. So, like, people are watching me to make sure I'm fine, like the postpartum too, and making sure with the C-section that I'm not popping out stitches. Like, I'm taking it easy. My mom is here helping, you know, my partner's help. Like, we're getting things done. But I woke up one morning and couldn't breathe. Couldn't really breathe that well. I couldn't take a deep breath. I was like, it hurt. Like, I felt tightening in my chest, and I'm like, that's not good. And then when I was sleeping, I was wheezing. Like, I woke myself up. I was hearing the wheezing. So I'm like, that's not good. And like, I just felt off. I felt off. So I went to the hospital. I was like, we need to go to the hospital. And my partner was like, because I felt it the day before, but they were like, if this continues the next day, we're going to the hospital, because they said come back. So now, one weekend, I had to go to the hospital. My mom came, had the baby. Thank God for my mom. Oh my God. So they admitted me. I went to the hospital. You know, when they're checking you in, they check your blood pressure, they check your temperature just to see what's going on. They checked my blood pressure, girl, and someone came out right away. They flagged it. They came out right away. I didn't even finish filling out the forms. They were like, back to the, get her in right now. And I'm like, don't panic yet. Like, don't panic, but panic, because they sent somebody out right away to get me in, checked in. I'm like, doctors, nurses, everybody was seeing me right away. I'm like, uh-oh. So my blood pressure was 169 over 120. That's not good, girls. That is not good. Okay, that high of a blood pressure can lead to seizures and a stroke. So they needed to get that blood pressure down, and they didn't know what was happening, why that was happening. And I'm postpartum, so now they're like, oh shit, complications, we gotta check what's going on. And I told them about the chest pain, the wheezing, I can't really inhale like a deep breath. So we did ultrasounds, CT scans. They were checking for blood clots in my legs. Like, they were doing everything. Okay, everything. They checked everything. I must say that hospital was on it. Okay, they were giving me different courses to try to get the blood pressure down. They have different things that they can use to try to lower the blood pressure. It was not going down, girl. It was not going down. So they were like, listen, we need to do a course of magnesium sulfate, which will take the blood pressure down. We also have the edema to deal with, so you're retaining fluid. They did the scan of my lungs. They did the whole thing. So what they found was that I had fluid on my lungs, okay, and then my legs, Okay, so we know that that was an issue. We needed to get that resolved. Okay, so now they're like, all right, we don't have the equipment we need here in the ER, so we're going to send you back to maternity. So they sent me back over to maternity. My doctor came in. They told me about the course they were going to take with the magnesium. I was pumped with magnesium. It's a 24-hour course, right? And I was out of it. That magnesium, oh my God. I was tired. I was loopy. it was bad. It's like being high and you don't want to be high no more, because I was out of it. I was completely out of it, and they were pumping my legs. I had the Folio in, again, that catheter thing to drain the urine. And they were pumping me with IV fluids. It was a whole situation. But they had to get my blood pressure down. They had to get it down. I had a cardiologist come in to check my heart. They were like checking everything to make sure I was fine. So the 24 hours ran its course. They got the leg swelling, some of it mostly down, right? Because they were doing the massagey thing that was squeezing my leg. So most of it got, like, I lost a lot of fluid, okay? The lungs, they checked everything again, and they were like, all right, your blood pressure is down. We have everything under control. You passed the fluid. We checked. They were checking for protein. They were checking the level. They were doing all the tests, all the things, right? And they released me that day, thank God, because I wanted to go home. Like, I just had a baby. I want to go home to my baby. Like, I want to go home. Like, I've been in the hospital, like, how many days now? I did the whole, like, I want to be home. I just want to be home. I want to be with my baby. I'm already in pain with the C-section, blah, blah, blah. So I go home, thankfully. Oh, my God. So the fluid that I lost, crazy amounts of fluid, because I lost, I'll tell you right now, between checking into the hospital when they weighed me and leaving 24 hours, well, it was more than 24 hours, but like 30 something hours later, I had lost 12 pounds. 12 pounds. Like, I know some of it was the birth weight, like the pregnancy, having the baby, not even just having the baby, because I think having the baby, I lost maybe, I didn't even lose that much because I was retaining so much fluid. So I maybe lost 5 pounds initially. I didn't even weigh myself, but it wasn't that much. Probably maybe 10 pounds, okay? And then after they pumped me, okay, another 12 pounds from when they weighed me, okay? And then I came home and lost some more pounds. I was going down, down, down. I am back to pre-pregnancy weight. In fact, I'm less. I'm actually at my goal weight right now, which I gained weight over COVID. Like, I put on a lot of pounds. I put on 25 pounds. And so I wanted to lose that 25 pounds and get down to, like, something that I thought was manageable, that I liked how my body looked and felt at that point. And so I am back to that weight, my goal weight. And that's because I'm breastfeeding and I don't have much of an appetite. So breastfeeding helps to take the weight off. Of course, I had the whole magnesium thing for the fluid, and of course, just giving birth. So all of that, and I am down. I am back to pre-pregnancy weight. I'm down even more than that to my goal weight. And like, it was quick. It was 10 days, and I have bounced back. And I'm like, apart from like the little pooch, like I still have the mommy pooch, like a little bit of overhang, but even that is going down, and my C-section scar needs to heal. So the pooch is there. It's not the smoothest. There's a little bit of lumpy clumpy, but let me show you, even though I'm leaking right now. Let me show you pre-pregnancy, like, hello. And I didn't even gain that much weight. I didn't gain that much weight at all. So I wasn't even worried about that. Like, I didn't care. I was having a baby. I'm going to grant myself grace. So I didn't care about losing the weight, but 10 days. And I'm like, what is going on? But that's the story of the birth. It was eventful. I don't think it's traumatic. I think people overuse the word trauma and being traumatized a little bit too much, because sometimes things are just eventful. Sometimes things are just chaotic. It wasn't traumatizing. It was not traumatizing. It was eventful. It was eventful, all right? Almost literally, I mean, the doctors weren't trying to scare me, so they weren't telling me how serious it was, but my blood pressure was really, really high, and I could have had a stroke. Postpartum preeclampsia is what the actual diagnosis is after. So I didn't have any complications during pregnancy, but post-pregnancy, I didn't know you can have preeclampsia post-pregnancy. So I have postpartum preeclampsia. I did check in with a cardiologist. I have to check in 3 months, monitor my blood pressure. I was on blood pressure medication to get it down. It was very low dose though. And I'm off of it now, thankfully. But like, it was a situation, guys. It was a situation, but that's the long and short of it. Like, I skipped over a lot. I didn't go into details with too much, but that was what I experienced during labor and delivery. So now my baby's crying. I'm going to go see to her. So did you guys guess that it was a girl? Did you? Were you able to guess? Well, it's a girl. She did steal my beauty. Oh my God, it was an ordeal. And I was definitely sick, so they say girls make you sick as well. But she's such a joy. She's so cute. She's super cute. And I know I'm biased. Of course I'm gonna be biased, but my baby's super cute. My baby cuter than your baby. I don't care. No, she is super cute. She's super cute. I probably won't share. Probably not gonna share her. I don't know. Like, I'm not opposed to it completely, but I'm not gonna be like sharing her online. Like, no, that's not my thing. And I think people can get creepy about it, so I'm not gonna be doing that. But super cute baby. Super cute baby. Super loud. She cries, but she's still like a super chill baby. She's not awful at all. Like, she's good. She's good, and I'm happy. I am happy. I am thankful, and I'm gonna have to go feed this girl because nipples are leaking. I'm breastfeeding. They are leaking, and she's ready to eat. Let me tell you something. Your body responds like it's weird. Okay, if she cries, my breasts leak. It's weird, right? The body's such a magnificent thing. The way it just does what it needs to do. It knows what it needs to do, and it does it. It's crazy. But I'm gonna go feed her, try to get her settled down for the night because it's her bedtime right now. But I just wanted to check in and share, like, you know, that whole experience with you guys, everything that I went through. And like I said, if you want to hear more about like symptoms, trimesters, anything else you want me to go in detail with, any, you know, let me know and I can do that, you know, when I find the time, of course. And then let me know how you want me to upload this. Just make it explicit in like the title and the thumbnail that this video is going to be about pregnancy and baby and all that. Or should I do members only videos on this channel or post it on the More Than Fancy channel? Let me know. Let me know the best way to navigate this and to share these stories with you guys. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your support. I appreciate all the kind words, and I experience all the good wishes and stuff. You know, a lot of you guys reached out and were like, we're hoping you're good. You know, we know the baby's here, so, you know, hopefully everything's going fine. So thank you so much for all that. And I'm gonna go now. So on to my next video, which will be very soon. I'll talk to you. Bye, guys.